Pentagon is floating a controversial plan to close all U.S.-based commissaries to cut costs. How will this hurt military families and vets relying on the commissaries' lower prices for daily supplies? Well, Pete Hegseth, CEO of Concerned Veterans for America, is with us now from Washington. Good morning, Pete. Thanks for being here with us. Is this a great plan? I mean, it seems like a short-term fix for a very large budget issue, correct?
It is a short-term fix. You know, if they were to close commissaries, military grocery stores, effectively for military members, their families, and retirees, they would be a casualty of Washington's unwillingness to constrain spending. So they've already chopped the DOD budget through sequestration. Now DOD is trying to figure out how to live within their means, and so we see proposals like getting rid of commissaries, and it's really a reflection of if you can't make tough decisions about big-ticket items, then it rolls downhill, and we're talking about troops and pay and benefits, and something like commissaries, while expensive in some ways, is not going to get to the budget fixes DOD needs. It's going to hurt the little guy, the private, or the military member serving overseas who doesn't have access to the kind of cheap groceries they would want. I mean,
just from a layperson's perspective, you would say, well, why is the target of this cutback right here going to be those in the families that actually give and serve to protect? It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I think shoppers can save more than 30% on their purchases at the commissaries as opposed to shopping somewhere else. Why hit them hard there?
Why the target? Because that in the field doesn't have a constituency in Washington, a lobbyist there to protect their programs. But you do with big-ticket weapon systems, with contractors, with high-ranking officials. Different things within the Defense Department are usually cordoned off in situations like this. It's easy to chop the number of troops. It's easy to chop benefits. The one upside here, Elizabeth, is that the Pentagon is finally talking about long-term cost savings. They haven't had to. We're in a new environment, $17 trillion in debt. We've got to be more smart about how we spend Pentagon dollars. But looking to commissaries and benefits as a place to start is the wrong place to start. Let's look at everything, but let's look at auditing the Pentagon, finding the fat within the budget so that we can cut it. Let's look at the way we acquire weapon systems. There's billions in overruns and decades in delays in new weapon systems. Let's look at that before we look at military benefits and pay.
Pete, I mean, I'm reading that it's a third of the employees at these commissaries are military spouses, nearly, right? So 30%.
Yes. These are community centers. These are community centers in many ways. The commissaries, the PXs, are the places where military families shop for a lot of different goods, where families work. And if you're a private who doesn't have a car, you may not have access to go off base to a lot of things, so they apply a lot of the basic needs. And if you're overseas in Germany or South Korea, the commissaries are places where you can get the food and the items you couldn't otherwise get in the market outside the base. So they in many ways become a community center. And if you start to target them as the place to find cost savings, you're getting at this sort of the baseline of the basic benefits that are given to service members who signed on the dotted line to defend this nation. And when our nation was irresponsible and spent more than we had, you're not going to balance your books on the backs of privates and their families on basic benefits like commissaries. Let's find bigger ticket items to be smart to reform, which there are some efforts on the Hill to do just that groups need to get behind. Okay, well, we will certainly keep our eyes peeled for that. Pete Hegseth, thanks for the passion and the purpose there. Thanks, Elizabeth.